It's been a while. Welcome to the Completely Unnecessary Podcast for Tuesday, June 14th, 2022, the last week of spring. That's Ian Ferguson.
It is.
I'm Pat Contry.
It's me.
On the show today, we'll be talking about lots of good things like the Bethesda event, the Summer Games Fest as well. And television breaks its silence, breaks the darkness. Other good stuff. Patreon poll topic. Ian discussed pinball a lot on the exclusive.
Yeah.
The exclusive
We
Patreon podcast at patreon.com/CU podcast.
Talked about the just announced Toy Story 4 table by Jersey Jack.
Jersey Jack. I met Jersey Jack 10 years ago.
And then we spiraled into other machines.
Very nice person, Jersey Jack.
Yeah.
How was your weekend, Ian?
Oh, it was good.
It was dandy?
It was great. I went to we've got a friend who lives here who's moving out of town at the end of the month. And their girlfriend actually came into town because it's her birthday week. So I went to the zoo with them, and it was one of the first times in a long time where I did basically everything.
The 4 hour
The 4 hour
double track down, go to Africa, come back around.
Yes.
Yeah, it's about 4 hours to see everything except the kid stuff.
Yeah, and that's what it was. What we missed was the kids stuff because the kids stuff is not just kids stuff, but that's the base camp is the new area there, and it's just wildly crowded right now. Anytime you go,
Yeah, they got the bugs there. They got the lizards and reptiles, snakes, and the Komodo. They have two Komodo dragons.
they've got
two of them.
they've got some new desert stuff too, including a fennec fox.
Oh,
Yeah, which I really want to go see.
okay. They're cute. They're adorable.
Yeah,
The Arctic fox wasn't there anymore. They replaced the Arctic fox by the polar bear.
So yeah, that was really fun. I was worn out. We went to Obi Noodle House that night for dinner.
One or two.
Great stuff. The first one. I don't ever go to the second one.
Too loud?
The first one's pretty loud too, but the second one's way too loud.
I remember the first time I went to the Obi Noodle House too. This was like 8 years ago when it first opened, whenever it was. It was a meeting with the gal, and I sat at the bar. And I just remember the bartender being super obnoxious and like teasing me in front of her. And I like snapped at him during it because I wasn't drinking. I was driving. I was like, yeah, I'm not drinking.
Right.
And he's like, oh, everyone, this guy's having water. And anything I fucking said, I didn't make a scene, but I said something to him. I basically said, like, don't fucking test me. It was really fucking weird. Sorry about that, Ian.
No, I mean that's a really bad look for a fucking bartender too.
It was almost like trying to.
Bartenders are supposed to keep everything responsible. If someone's there being responsible and tells you they're the DD, you don't fucking make fun of them for it.
It was one of those sort of things where he was like doing it, trying to like maybe look bad in front of the woman I was with. It was like one of those sort of fucking alpha sort of attempts.
Weird.
And like I don't usually get at people I don't know, but like that was it. Sorry, Ian. Go on.
No, that's
Bad memory.
So that was good. Next day we went to Yakudori and got yakitori, which is like the grilled skewers of meat.
Skewers are good.
Yeah, they're so good.
As Frank would say, skewers. You want some skewers?
And then yesterday we played D&D. It was the first time we've played D&D in almost 2 months. It's just been really tough getting people together.
I know you're not been into the Stranger Things that much, but the backbone of the show is basically D&D.
Oh, I'm aware of that. Yeah.
And in the new season, they're in high school. There's a club, so like part of the first, second episode, they're actually playing in the club. With
That's cool.
It's cool because they actually have a discussion about, do we go for it? Do we roll the dice against the monster? And it's like entertaining. They have the whole board set up nice and everything.
They do some tying in of that in the pinball machine as well. The match, the match at the end. It's a dice rolling, and then there's 4 dice that you light up at the bottom, and if you light them all up, you get the spell of protection, and if you drain it, puts you back into the game.
In this season, which takes place at spring of '86, they build in some of that satanic panic stuff with like, oh, D&D's.
That's cool. Yeah.
So they built in some of that into the plot. So that's what's not so clever about it, which I never brought up until now, is that they have 2 Nintendo references in the spring of '86 in the show. Exactly.
I thought you brought that up last week.
Not on the podcast.
Okay, must have been when we were talking.
So I don't usually get on them for the anachronisms, But in the spring of '86, the NES was not a thing known to most people,
Right.
In the U.S. It was still getting rolled out to like L.A. and getting out to other areas. If you're in Indiana, you have no fucking clue about the NES, in the middle of nowhere.
Sure.
There's no way for you to know about it. None. And so there's been 2 references in the first several episodes. The first is this is what makes it weird. The adult, the guy who they introduced in season 3, who's like the conspiracy theorist guy, he's a great actor. I know who he is. He's like, kids today, they're doing all this stuff and they're playing their Nintendo. And I'm like, that's something you would have said like 3-4 years later.
Sure.
Once it's like not in '86, you would have said Atari, because Atari is still like the predominant thing. And then one of the 4's little sister, she says, if I do this for you, I want a Nintendo with Duck Hunt. And it's like, come on, man. Like, it's so on the nose, and I usually don't get after it. But even if they waited another year for like the last season to throw, they blew their wad on the Nintendo references a year too early.
Right.
The 2 writers at Dover, they're not from the U.S. They probably don't know any better. But like, someone should have said, listen, guys, you got one shot at this. You got to do Nintendo stuff in '87. Because that's going to be the last season, not '86. That's the only thing that annoyed me so far about this season. Sorry, Ian.
I mean, that's your thing. So yeah, what did you do this weekend?
I don't know. What I looked at Nintendo N64 carts for like 9 hours, double checking. That's what I did this weekend.
All right.
That's what I did.
One thing I've wanted to mention for a few weeks now, and I haven't yet, is Retrobit is doing a release of Avenging Spirit. And while we usually mention the Retrobit stuff, we're both pretty happy with like everything that comes out.
Quality is great in this
Quality is good.
Reasonable prices.
This is a big one for me because it actually is one of the few systems I still buy stuff for. It's hilarious how people think that like I have a massive video game collection. It's very funny to me. You always see that shit in like the comment sections, like, "Oh, these guys with the big collections," you know. It's like I have under 400 games.
I don't see those comments. I don't look for the trolls.
Anyway, I do still buy a lot of stuff for Game Boy. Avenging Spirit is a game I've always wanted. I'm just not willing to pay the price of it.
I never heard of it.
So this is a fantastic reissue to see. It's aimed right at my heart, and I'm definitely going to pick that up. I would love to see. It's not Jalico, but I would love to see Trip World come out. That's Sunsoft if they're going to do more Game Boy stuff. And there's also I can never remember the name. There's a Jalico game that stars a car that looks a bit like the City Connection car, but it's a platformer.
Okay.
And I can never remember the name. Since they've clearly got the Jalico license here, I would love to see that.
Is this like this only came out in Europe? Is this like the Mr. Gimmick of the Game Boy?
No,
basically?
it came out here.
Oh, it did?
It came out here with like really, really awful art that doesn't make any sense.
Oh, there's none available to buy on eBay. It's that hard to find, at least from the US. I'm looking at it.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
So
I can't. Oh, there is one that's sold. It's a detective on it.
Yeah.
But it's a ghost.
Yes.
Why did they change it to a detective?
Because you do play as a detective at various points in it.
It's a gangster with a Tommy gun.
Yeah.
On the cover.
Basically, you play as a ghost and you can possess different characters.
Oh.
And that's...
Why wouldn't you push the cute little ghost character? Come on. That should be in the forefront.
What I did not know is that it started as an arcade game.
Okay.
I actually had no idea that was the case.
So it looks like this has sold, a bunch of these sold probably when they announced this, because it looks like a bunch sold in March, April. So, but they come up for sale. One went for $1,300 complete, and then cart only between looks like $100 and $150.
Yeah.
For the cart. So okay, see that's the spirit, no pun intended, of doing these remakes. You should do it for these good games that no one knew about or are tough to find and are expensive. That's
I don't always want to sound like I'm bashing on them because I like a lot of the music releases, but this isn't Retrobit, but the other company that's done re-releases of like Lion King and Mega Man 2, I am
8-bit.
Yeah, I don't get it.
They're overpriced. That's the problem too.
Yes.
They're like way overpriced for what you get. These sets usually are pretty damn good. They send it to us every once in a while. My pal Brenofloss, 10-year anniversary this year of Nintendo Bohemian Rhapsody. Holy shit, I'm old. Remember we did that for the marathon. It was a tier.
Yep.
He's produced a party game that's done very well. It's very good, called Use Your Words. The sequel, Use Your Words 2, is now on Kickstarter. There's about 2 weeks left. If you're into like the Jackbox or the party games, like check it out. It's one of those sort of things where you sync it up with your phone, but you play it on Steam. And there was a Switch version that came out. But originally it was Wii U, because that's how long ago it was when the Wii U was still around. Jeez. And then it went to Switch. So yeah, check it out. It's they're very well done games. They're fun. I've played them before. You want to talk Summer Games Fest, Ian?
This stuff is, at this point, I feel like a little outside of our wheelhouse. But Summer Games Fest, which is kind of like E3 Light, it's the Jeff Keighley.
It might take it over.
Yes.
Jeff Keighley was licking his lips when E3 said that was not happening this year. He literally tweeted something like with an emoji saying, like, ha, 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 ha. It's my time now.
So some of the big things that have been announced, or bigger things, are the Last of Us remake, which I think that's awful. Like, we just got the remaster for PS4. And someone made a great tweet this morning that I saw, and it's like, they understand and respect all the people who are doing this, but if we're just reiterating games to get slightly better technology on them and telling the same stories over and over again, it's
a 10-year-old game, right? How old is it? It's not that old.
I don't know how old the first one is, because the first one came out on PS3. Then they did the remaster on PS4, and then they just did this.
2013.
The first one?
Yeah.
Okay.
2013 PS3.
Okay.
And then PS4 was a year later, 2014.
So we're talking 9 years. Within 9 years, they've made three. They made 3 versions of this fucking game.
8 years for the PS4. Yes, it's going to look better than the PS4, but holy shit, you're right. I don't want to. We've seen this more and more, obviously, here and there with Halo games and stuff like that. But at least they were like super old versions they're redoing. You know, like
right, or they released a whole pack of with the Master Chief Collection.
I don't want to be like. Here's the thing. I'm not a Last of Us fan. They're great games, supposedly. If there's someone out there clamoring for this, I want to see an upgraded graphics version of PS5 versus PS4. That's great. But they're going to charge you another fucking $50 or whatever for it. And then, like, you're going to do this every generation?
Well, and people have been actually fairly negative on this. And the thing that I hate about it is the PS3 and 360 era development was apparently still cheap enough. There were AA teams, AAA teams, indies. There were a lot of games. We get far fewer releases these days, starting with the PS4 and the Xbox One and into the PS5 and the Xbox Series. There's still, nothing that's grabbed me. So I hate to see this much development time wasted
versus a new property.
They're going
to use the new enemy AI that was in the sequel. Okay, 60 frames per second, new combat options, and more. Great. They're obviously they're
then they didn't need to remaster it then if they're just going to remake it. The remake has a more reason to exist.
The remaster,
but then the remaster was just a fucking cynical cash grab.
So you're going to buy the game 3 times within 8 years, basically. Or similar game. They're doing this other stuff. Obviously, they're doing. We didn't talk about it. They're doing Resident Evil 4 remake. That's game's a masterpiece.
Capcom is sure.
Yeah. But this is going to happen more and more, and I think we're getting I think we're getting away from it a little bit. I understand like people want to play these updated versions of these games, but if the original is a masterpiece, just re-release the original, which has been re-released. So like. I don't know. We're getting away from things. It goes back to this is what happened in the late 80s, early 90s with Turner. There was a big upheaval with people saying, don't colorize these black and white movies. That's not the way they're supposed to be.
Sure.
You lose something. It was a big deal back then. He started colorizing movies, and there was a huge backlash against that in the film world, and he stopped doing it. Unfortunately, with an interactive medium like this, a lot of people, they want to play the greatest, it's not just watch them, they want to interact with it in a different way. But the upgrading graphics thing, I think there's a small price to pay for that. I don't know. I think there's something to be said for playing it how it was meant at its time period. That's just my opinion. Maybe I sound like an old fogey. For something that was made 8 years ago, you really need it to be looking that much greater. At this point in time, when we're going to get to diminishing returns really fucking quick going forward on this, I don't know.
Yeah, and then I don't moving on. I don't
have enough energy, but
spending too much time on that one. But yeah, no, it's I hate it.
You're the commander of the intro.
I don't think anyone else is happy about this. Very strange.
Street Fighter 6 going to see Guile, of course. They're not gonna have Guile in.
Street Fighter 6. I went from that first trailer with fucking wide body Ryu and that
Ryu
and that shitty logo to being incredibly fucking hyped for this.
Oh, okay.
I think the roster looks great. I like the look of the game. They're bringing parrying back. It looks like multiple super bars. Third Strike.
Okay.
They're bringing. It looks like there's going to be multiple special bars that you can pick from, just like some of the older games. Okay. So I am definitely excited about this one.
You like Aliens Dark Descent?
Yes, that was the other one I was going to bring up. I think a squad-based tactics game is perfect for the Alien franchise. Give me something like XCOM with aliens, and I'm in.
You like the overhead isometric sort of thing?
Yeah, I think that'll be a lot of fun.
Going back to this, the trailers, the first 98% of it is like a movie. Like, oh, what is this going to be? And then they show 7 seconds of gameplay at the end, and it's like, okay. I look at that stuff. It looks fun. Would I prefer like a first-person version of that? I guess it's harder to coordinate with the squad versus first-person, but it looks fun.
I mean, it's turn-based. I mean, the problem with the first-person stuff is they've tried it a bunch in the past, and other than like the early Rebellion AVPs on PC, none of them have been well received.
None of them.
So I think they're trying a new style to see if they can get people back into it.
They're doing they announced they're doing the first look of the HBO Last of Us series with Pedro Pascal, who's great. He's going to be in that.
We love him. He's great.
We love him. We love Pedro.
We love Pedro
even though I still have not seen one episode of Mandalorian. Modern Warfare 2 Call of Duty teaser. The new Modern Warfare 2. Okay, I keep track of them.
Yeah.
Can we have different names at this point for stuff? Holy shit.
You know what? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Do we care about any of that? The Callisto Project looks pretty decent. It looks like it's basically Dead Space by the old Dead Space team, but not Dead Space.
Gotham Knights, Nightwing. They announced that years ago, I thought. And then Ian's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's
Oh, fuck. Am I so excited for this goddamn game. To all the people who think I don't enjoy stuff, fuck you, because I am like a child for this game. And oh my God, 3 things dropped. Four things like dropped with TMNT that just like I cannot wait for Thursday. So when they announced it, they dropped Casey Jones, which I always said made sense. I mean, with April, you're going to have it. And when they announced Shredder, I'm like, no, there's got to be one more character. Yes. Casey's got to be in it if we're doing this extended roster.
He's an OG character.
Casey Jones comes out this Thursday. So that was like a surprise because they had not teased at all the release. They said summer. And it's actually coming out just before summer. Yeah. 6 players at the same time.
That's surprising.
6 players at the same time.
For a beat 'em up is extremely rare.
And my favorite pair of rappers, Ghostface and Raekwon from the Wu-Tang Clan, did a track with T. Lopes, the guy who did the soundtrack.
Oh.
So you're not going to, I mean...
You're not going to see Ian this weekend.
You're not going to see me this weekend. Yeah,
Ian will be unavailable. Phone off the hook.
Saturday I have to do a hot sauce convention for the other podcast, and other than that, it will be TMNT.
And then Limited Run has an insane edition for $200. We don't usually bloviate on these special editions, but this one is kind of ridiculous. This one has Josh's fingerprints all over this.
Yeah, Shredder figure.
A figure that's like a remake of the original. It was like the same mold, but it's different colors. A mini arcade that you can watch the intro of the game on.
The intro of the game.
There's a VHS sleeve with a VHS tape that it comes out of.
And then you open that and it fits the steelbook version of the game, and it has there's that you can put the game in. So the steel kit box is empty. The actual game comes in a case that's on a blister card, which actually looks pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
And then you can just take the card out and put it in the steel.
The soundtrack on CD.
Yeah.
What is that? The lithograph print, like a shadow box lithograph print, and the coup d'etat, a free Pizza Hut personal pan pizza coupon like the Ninja Turtles 2 arcade game on NES.
Yeah, there was a tweet, I think it was from Josh, talking about how hard that was to get in there.
I can imagine the conversation with Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
Listen, we want to buy a certain amount of coupons from you for this insane... And they're like, what? You want to do what?
Remember when you included a personal pan pizza coupon on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2?
They're like, no,
we did not.
They're all retired.
We don't remember that at all.
That was 32 years ago. No one remembers that. Or 30 years ago. Like, no one remembers that shit. So, yeah. You can obviously just buy the game, the physical version for, let's see, $35 on Switch, and then they have the VHS versions for $65. But like this $200 version, if I was like, if I had, like I said, room for this stuff, I would go for something.
If I had space and I was still a collector in like the in the way that usually means, I would absolutely buy it.
And a full-length strategy guide as well.
Yes.
Like, and sprite stickers, everything. This could be probably like, to me, like their finest like edition they've done in terms of like, we're gonna give you everything you want.
Yeah.
With this,
it's nuts.
So, but next week Ian will have a review, and maybe Pat will too.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
I don't.
You won't be able to shut me up about it. I'm hoping.
I'll have to be captain intro that week. I'll have to take it over there.
Speaking of which, everything announced at the Xbox Bethesda Game Showcase. I believe this is still kind of part of the whole summer thing.
They're doing it this morning as well. I think it's more than one day. I didn't know that.
The only thing I'm particularly interested in is I think Starfield looks very promising.
Starfield is a game I thought Private Citizen would eventually, Star Citizen would eventually be if they actually fucking completed it. It looks incredible. There's going to be, 1,000 planets you can visit? 1,000. And my feeling is that there's probably care put into those. It's not just procedurally generated. It's probably like...
There's going to be some procedural generation, I'm sure, but there's clearly going to be set pieces that they trot out,
yes.
I think.
I always wanted a true sort of sequel in spirit and tone to something like Privateer. Yes, there's been ones here or there that kind of got it right, but this combined with like, this is eating Star Citizen's lunch, because this is doing everything. You go to the planets, you have first-person shooter battles, you fly away. Like, this is it. This is a game where if I'm afraid to play games like this because I will never stop playing. This is it. Space exploration, getting your ship, go around, do all space missions, and then go on the planets. Like, this is I'm afraid when they make these games. But this is it. This is a game that's going to be nuts. Like people describe to me, this is going to be like Elder Scrolls, but in space.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is nuts. So, but they are pushing it back. It's going to be next year, which is fine. That's fine. No rush. Take your time. Take your time. I do feel bad for everyone that put in tons of money into Star Citizen and sees this and they're like, well, this is the game we wanted. This is a game we thought we were going to get years ago, and now we have bits and pieces of a game. This is it. Anything else from that you want to comment on? That's the big one.
No.
Kojima revealed a relationship with Xbox Game Studios, so they're gonna do this. What was it? A rumor game called Overdose. So there you go.
Yeah. Minecraft Legends. I've never been particularly into Minecraft.
New Forza game. They're big racing game.
They're good, but not something I'd be into.
So there you go. Are you into UltimateNintendo.com, Ian? Are you into finding deals on our baseball series? That made you laugh. That was an awful one.
Yeah. Because it was so awful.
Enamel Pins. We're down to 7 or 8 Enamel Pins right now. And then the Pixel Pat pin, we got some of those left. The NES Super Nintendo guidebooks. RBI baseball stickers still selling every week. I will never get through this roll. Never get through that roll. Potentially at ultimatenintendo.com. I'll be on Twitch. Wednesday, regular time, because no NBA finals game. It's Thursday, game 6. Dubs in 7 still. My prediction might be Dubs in 6. At twitch.tv/ContraCode. Ian will not be there.
Nope.
Not even in spirit. And then
I will not think of it.
Thanks, Ian. I will be at Too Many Games, June 24th to 26th in Oaks, PA. I'll be visiting my parents and sister earlier that week in Pennsylvania, hanging out. I'll probably check out Friendlies. I'll go to the Jersey Shore. See if you can find me that week at the Jersey Shore. And then I'll be at the Southeast Game Exchange in Greenville, South Carolina, July 9th and 10th. Those are my upcoming events there. Did you know, Ian, that more adults are playing video games than kids are?
No shit.
A new study says so. Mark Salson, USA Today special.
We've said a million times on here that video games, while obviously loved and enjoyed by kids, became an adult hobby. We were the first generation to grow into it.
Or entertainment medium.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's accepted. It's
Right. It's no longer it's no longer just for kids.
home video games is, if you start with the Atari 77, most people do, it's 45 years old. It's 45 years old. So like that's like the vast majority of the population that's been alive between then and now. I mean, like, come on, since the mediums started. The only people that haven't played video games are like older boomers, basically, and then like the generation for that, like the World War II generation that are still around. Like that's it. Like everyone else grew up with video games. So it's like, it is what it is. The average age is 33 years old, according to the report commissioned by the ESA. Why are you wasting your money, ESA? Why are you wasting your money on that?
Yeah.
Their quote, the fact that we're seeing more people over 45 years old playing than under 18 just speaks to the growth and adoption of gameplay. No, it speaks to the population numbers. I mean, just pure population. There's more people between, over 45. I mean, yeah. Oh, plus, for the first 5 years, you're not playing games unless you have a tablet in your hand. So
right.
It's really more condensed, more I think about the age. But 45 isn't that, when you think about 45, you grew up potentially with the NES. You're a teenager with the Super Nintendo. That's 45. That's like prime video game culture years.
Sure.
Late 80s to 90s. Like that's it. Like that's the age we're talking about here. I wonder if they're counting computer games. Remember that first decade of computers was mostly older people playing. Those people are probably in their 70s by now.
Sure, but they're probably only accounting for
console. Okay, I see what you're saying.
I mean, they're probably including PC games, but they're probably just looking at it now. I mean, they wouldn't go into the past for that.
Oh, they are counting PC. Yeah, I see what you're saying. But I wonder if they retire. I wonder if you play. I wonder if you were on computer gaming in the 80s when you bought your computer for like $2,000, or $1,500. I wonder if you would still be playing stuff now, or that since they don't cater to that market anymore, they don't do really like a lot of adventure games anymore like they did back then. They don't do a lot of simulation games. It's hard to find this stuff. I wonder if those are a lot of people that are lapsed that would be like, well, there's nothing for me anymore. It was like in a place in time in my 30s and the 80s,
Sure, but a lot of people, I mean, in their who bought them in their 40s and 50s and their 80s are, I mean, some of them are dead.
Okay, yeah, I'm talking someone who was 35 in like 84.
Okay, sure.
They're like 70 now.
Right.
So wow, they are. Holy shit. They're like early 70s. Like I wonder if they, because they probably still have a PC around or a tablet, or they too old now that they sort of like my father, he can still use a PC, but he doesn't keep up with the tech like I do.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, but he played games. I mean, he played his F-15 simulator in the 80s, and
right.
But he's not playing games now.
I mean, those are absolutely targeted towards the 35-year-old male who was buying PCs at the time.
Sure. The smartphone. 70% of the respondents said the smartphone was their preferred device for play. Wow.
How many?
70%.
Jesus.
Followed by video game console, 52%. Personal computer, 43%. Those numbers don't quite add up. I guess maybe it was like the top 2 out of 5 choices. Tablet, iPad, 26%, and virtual reality headset, 7%. Oh, that VR really cutting in to the business. About 60% of respondents say they enjoy playing on multiple devices. Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I say the vast majority, because everyone has a phone. You can play on a phone. Switch is a portable device, and then you have your PC or something else, or Microsoft or device. At 65%, puzzle games were the most popular genre. Wow. Maybe amongst older people. I don't know.
I mean, that makes sense. I mean, iPhone with Candy Crush. That magic market that was supposed to be swayed by the Intellivision Amico.
Good article. Check it out. There's some little tidbits here. And then they say that E3 will be back in full force next year. We shall see. We shall see. Or Jeff Keighley ate their lunch this year. Then stuff like the Bethesda showcase. Nintendo, like I said, does their directs. Like there's no need. There just isn't.
Yep.
Sorry, E3. Kickstarter for a Little Nemo game. You might say, hey, Pat, you talked about this last year. We sure did. There's another one there. So Little Nemo and the Guardians of Slumberland. So this is public domain. Little Nemo is like 100 years old, more than 100 years old. So that's why like anyone can make their own Little Nemo game if they want to. So that's basically what I want to talk about. I don't have much to say about the game itself. It looks cute.
I think it looks cute. It definitely has gone for a different, style than the other one that's currently in production.
Yes, the other one, Little Nemo and the Nightmare Fiends, it was the artwork's ridiculous because it looks like how it was drawn in the original comic strip.
Yeah.
Like in the 20s.
Yep.
It looks insane. This is more traditional looking, like, you know, Unity sort of just graphics. It looks fine, but like it's not.
Yeah, it's a platformer.
It's a platformer. It's two different styles of games, but that's again.
I mean, they're both platformers, but yes.
Yeah, so if Mario ever comes public domain, you'll be seeing this. You'll be seeing Kickstarters for any Mario game. There'll be a billion of them happening there. Sega responded to fan feedback about Sonic Frontier, saying it doesn't bother us. This is from a Go Nintendo article. Any comments on this, Ian?
I mean, no. They probably shouldn't bow to fan pressure because it sets a crazy precedent. However,
It did with the movie.
yes, I don't think people saying, hey, this game needs to be delayed is that bad of a thing. You can delay the game and make people happy. It's not... They're not like getting nitty gritty and being like, you should do this and you should do this. They're like, hey, please delay the game so you can polish it, which I think is a pretty reasonable request. They did come out and say, and I think I mentioned it last week, that a lot of the videos were running on an old build. But what they should have done is not do those videos. The promotion for this game has been a debacle.
Yes, it's Sega's fault that we're at this point.
Literally,
Sega's fault alone.
Literally cut a flashy trailer, put it out there. If what you're showing us is old stuff that makes the game look bad, then don't fucking show it.
I know people might think, including that, it could be hypercritical of Sega. This is why.
Well, you are.
But this is Bush League shit. This is their #1 franchise, and they have to have this shit like on lock.
Right.
Like when Nintendo puts out a trailer, they'll have a trailer, then they'll have this whole exploratory gameplay video explaining what the fuck's in the game on top of it.
Right. If the people that I don't want, you do not show people live playing a game that is unfinished and on an old engine, because it's going to look clunky and it's going to look like shit.
And people don't know what they're looking at. They're like, what?
Right.
Yeah, they don't, I don't know what this is.
There's literally nothing good about doing that.
This is what they said here. We do realize everyone is just kind of reacting to the videos that they saw. This is from the Sonic Team Studio head Takashi Iizuka. Because they don't understand what this new gameplay is, they're kind of comparing to other games that they're already done. It's your responsibility to explain through marketing what your game is.
Yes.
Don't pull a Tallarico and say, well, you don't have all the
information. If we don't understand the gameplay, it's because you haven't done a good job of showing it.
Yes. At this point, the video game audience is very intelligent about how things are branded, how things are marketed, what we should know at certain points in time. We've been through this before. So you have to do a better job. You should never have allowed IGN to put out...
Continuing to sound like Tallarico, we've been doing a lot of play testing with our target audience, demographic of someone who'd play a Sonic game. We have been listening to comments that come back. We have a lot of great feedback from people who rate the game and are like, I had a lot of fun playing this. I'd give it like an 80 or 90 point score out of 100. That's good to know, but like, just stop talking. Just stop talking, put the game out, let the reviews come in and move on.
I cannot believe they would let an older build of a game be shown on one of the biggest gaming websites. Like,
it's either a lie or a blunder.
I mean, they did, again, Amico did the same thing. Remember they're playing it in the Middle East on the controller? That was an old build of the controller and firmware, and it's just like...
It's an excuse or it's a true blunder.
You're either incompetent or you're lying.
Right.
Like one or the other. Like either way, it's bad when it comes to it. So anyway, the rise and fall of Axie Infinity. This is a Bloomberg article, Ian. Do you want to talk about this?
Yeah,
we
part of our...
a few times.
Part of our crypto, segment here.
NFT.
So we brought up Axie Infinity, but this article it's a good article. It's a Bloomberg one. You can go check it out. It talks about a guy named Alejo Lopez de Armentia who has played video. He got really into Axie Infinity. He's spent, I believe it says in here, something close to $40,000 on Axie Infinity.
Oh my God. But buying the characters and such?
Yeah, so basically he's poured about $40,000 into his habit since last August. He professes he likes the game, but he also makes it clear that recreation was never his goal. I was actually hoping it could become my full-time job. It goes and it talks a little bit about... so basically there are various ways to make money from Axie. You can breed, which means you take two Axies you own, mix them together, and you apply a certain number of smooth love potions and a certain number of Axie Infinity shards, both of which I believe are also tokens on the market, to make a new Axie, and then you sell it.
What's an Axie? The little blob.
The little blob.
You have a squad. You fight others teams.
It's an extraordinarily simplistic game, from what I understand. So every new Axie player needs Axies to play, so that's where he was making his money. You have to buy the Axies first. So before you even start playing the game, you have to invest money to get some of these Axie NFTs to battle against other people's Axie NFTs. He said last August, when it was popular, he was making 300 to 400% on his money in 5 days. He said it was stupid. Literally, he says it was stupid because people were getting into it. But now that's falling apart. I do want to talk about Axie's creator, Sky Mavis Inc. This is disgusting to me. I mean, we all know I hate corporate speak, but this is just beyond the pale. We believe in a world future where work and play become one. Talk about a fucking dystopian nightmare. They said in a mission statement on their website, we believe in empowering our players and giving them economic opportunities. Welcome to our revolution. Sit the fuck down. Sit all the way the fuck down.
So this game has raised a ton of money. In investment, according to this article, 160 million from investors. You got venture capital involved. They try to evaluate the company at $3 billion. The whole point is this economy fucking collapsed the past months. It fucking collapsed. This game is dead. The economy is dead. And then what are you left with? You're left with guys that spent $40,000 on a game. You have nothing. You know, like that's what the message is on this shit.
This is interesting though. They released a new version of Axie, like a semi-sequel called Axie Origin, with upgraded graphics and tweaks to gameplay. Here's what's surprising about it. It doesn't have any cryptocurrencies or NFTs involved at all, because Sky Mavis has learned that players don't want to engage in new games that have crypto added. So the company that arguably had the most successful cryptocurrency game is like, the market's not there.
They realize it. We got to get out of this.
It's not sustainable.
Just keep our whatever core is left and just make a fun game. Yeah, and make money that way. Wow, make a game that's just fun and make money off it that way. Wow, and people just spend their spare time playing a game for fun and not working.
This is also gross. Zerlin, Mavis co-founder Jeffrey Zerlin says he empathizes with people who lost money, life-changing sums in some instances, but he added that a crash that got rid of Axie profiteers could have its upside too. Sometimes having to flush out the people who are just in it for the money, he said. That's just the system self-correcting. Your entire game was just for the fucking money.
So they had two currencies, Ian?
Yes.
It looks like
Smooth Love Potions and Axie Shards or some Infinity Shards.
And once traded as high as 40 cents, I guess, per portion. Now it's 1.8 cents.
Wow. That's
Pat math. That's like a 90% decrease, 95% decrease, something like that. And then AXS, which have been worth $165. I have no idea what that is. Or maybe that's an Axie. I don't know. $56. And then March 23rd, I saw this on the Web3 is going great, I believe. Hackers robbed Sky Mavis.
Yeah, we talked about it.
They robbed this company of $620 million in cryptocurrencies, and that probably contributed to the bottom falling out, because like they probably just started just offloading the shit and just ruined the. Holy shit! Yeah. The future, Ian, the future.
It's a really long article. It's a good read. I'd suggest it. I mean, we don't necessarily have time to keep going on it, but it goes on for several paragraphs.
That's an intro.
Goes into how they met, et cetera, the people who ran it. But it's an interesting look into this.
And the point is, this was deemed as a success, and it still failed.
Yes, exactly.
This was the model. Oh, there's people in the Philippines that are playing this game, making money. Like, this is like a big thing. And it's like, now it's collapsed on itself.